Over the course of 3 weeks, students from both sides of the conflict come together and collaborate on an art project.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
We don't tell them what they have to do. We don't tell them the subject matter.
What peace really means for you?
For me, I think peace means more than just like everyone kind of getting along.
That's up to them. They're having to resolve a conflict or a challenge.
One person is interviewing at a time. You will be in the camera,
Yeah, but
and I'll be on the camera.
We're not
and she's alone. Stop shouting at them.
And they have to work together to do that.
Why can't you try it a couple different ways?
And for me, art's the perfect metaphor for that.
It's really confusing because at first you have another person that works with you. So how can I express my ideas on a paper that another person will understand me and we will combine it together, our thoughts?
For example, I love to draw the charcoals, like black and white. She loves colors.
I love a lot
so it's hard to combine by those two. But with thought about a project that would be like mixed. Some half would be black and white, some half would be colorful. That represents like the difficulties and the differences between one another. It's obviously connected to the conflict.
When we work as a team, different people sometimes have different functions.
The students work in either video production or studio art.
No, because we think so differently. They have no meeting point.
Okay, but if you can set that aside.
How do you work together where both of your voices are heard? Some people call it compromise.
It's just not working.
I call it building something new out of separate voices.
And we're trying to give you the tools to help you get to that place that feels better.
4/4 rhythm. So it doesn't matter what they do in the video to this, we only use the beat. So
If you want to put them together, you have to be very clear with what you say and how other people see and hear what you say. And you have to emphasize every word that you want to give that message, to put it across.
Above, yeah. Above, not above, just like in an angle.
And also teamwork, to work together, and it brings people closer together.
This one.
And the more you understand about people, the more you understand their ideas and where their ideas come from.
We're all in the same place, doing the same thing. The way we do it is very different way. If you film it together, it changes the meaning of it.
In the afternoon, students break off into dialogue groups, talking about the art.
Like someone take my heart and do stuff.
And about their lives.
Our lives as Palestinians, it's not normal. It's not the way everybody lives.
Young people who grew up in Israel and Palestine, they're dealing with a constant state of conflict, of brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts going into the army, of homes being demolished and having to deal with checkpoints.
She's from Jerusalem and I'm from Bethlehem. I can't even see her once a year because she has to go through a checkpoint and I have to go through a checkpoint, and that's a really hard process.
All kinds of things that impact their daily life. Most of these students come waiting to tell their story, waiting to engage about the conflict.
Usually when people argument about the conflict, each side start to raise his voice and then it ends by shouting. I think students here get to know a new way of dialogue that makes people listen more.
The dialogue groups encourage a more productive way of speaking and, more importantly, listening.
They want to tell their side of the story. They have a hard time listening to others. Most of us, when we engage in a conversation about a difficult issue, we ask questions because we have an agenda. We want to have to get to a certain point. We teach how do you ask questions so that you open people up to share their ideas and their stories.
When I ask a question, it's hard for me to be curious, but I have to be in order to let him speak freely, not to ask a question to let my point get through.
There's a lot of emotional baggage that we all come here that maybe people in this country don't really understand because it's a really different reality. But it doesn't matter. I think we all can identify with being in an argument and really wanting to win, and while the other person is speaking, you're not really listening.
That was the hardest thing, that my ideas is different from the Israelis' ideas, and it's hard like to accept the other ideas, but when you really listen and the other side talks from the heart and I talk from the heart, we really understand each other.
We're really taking these young people and opening up possibilities for them that they didn't think existed, and having them question the narratives that they grew up with. And that's a really difficult thing to do, and it's scary. It shakes their foundation to some extent.
In my community, like if you talk to an Israeli, it's like, what are you doing? They are our enemy. But when you really get the chance to live with them, to hear their ideas, that they are different, not the way that the government thinks. They don't think the horrible things that Palestinian is all terrorists. No, they are different. I get a lot of support when Boaz sees me thinking or closing my eyes, doing like this. What is in your mind? I want to hear it.
Well, there were many things that were very touching, which I heard. It was the injustice that other people had to deal with that was given to them by the Israeli country, which, of course, they did nothing. They were adolescents. And the longing for a country that many people spoke about.
The last day of the program, members of the community are invited to celebrate the students' artwork.
We did the peace stand. We got the idea from the lemonade stand, and we turned it into the peace stand, so that would be our way to spread peace around.
You can't touch peace, you can feel it with your heart, and we try to sell it. To sell peace is something maybe sounds really funny, but we had the meaning of it.
We started by interviewing people.
Peace to me is when people can set their differences aside and do what's best for the entire community.
It's accepting everybody for who they are.
They just need to sign that they agree with it.
The price for peace is your signature.
My signature, yeah. That's easy.
You can choose now your peace cookie.
Oh, a cookie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Have a sweet and peaceful day.
So my hope is that they will be the change makers in their communities, that they will feel empowered to work towards making a difference, that they will have voice, that they will use that voice in a constructive way, and that they realize that the hope is with them and that they have the power to do something.
I found it.
I learned that every small idea or everything that I do really affects our work in the team, and making the video together made us to be more friends. For me, is the closest friend in the arts program. That's very important for me.
I take back also an inner strength that I know I can work with other people, and I can make things work with other people, equally and together, which is really great.
We're thinking of doing a tower of not stable things because our feelings are not stable.
A castle would represent space and power and isolation, and that's how we felt.
We have those plans that show how we reach out to get to know each other.
Everyone wants to make a change. Use the crack as an opportunity to break through the ceiling and bring the dreams and hopes down.
It's really done well.
Thank you.
This poetry is beautiful.
Yeah,
You three made this piece?
I think because we live this a normal day is our conflict, so we need to do this change because we really know what it is.
You can't just stand watching it there's nothing happening. We should change, not the others.
Peace is not something very far. You can reach it with hard work. If you want to reach it, you can.
Peace begins with each of us. We want to be the thermometer in this life, and we want to be the ones making the change. We want to be the proactive individuals.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Faith in Action, young people making a difference, will return after this message.